Hey guys, it's Mike with another King Arthur Legends Rise video. Today we're going to explore the whole upgrading and enhancing relics and see if it's actually worth it. So what I've got on my account is I've actually pulled two of Morgan's relics on the flame here. So if we go into the element enhancement, we can upgrade it to 4%. So what I'd like to do is we're going to take her into Terrasco, the Stormcat, who has the negative affinity for her, or positive, I guess, depending on how you're looking at it. Negative for him. And we're going to smack him and see how much damage she's doing. Then we're going to go ahead and upgrade this with these two and go smack him again and see how much it improves. The other thing I was thinking about, like in this space here, like if you had a champion like Nika on the Frost Relic, you run her A3, she doesn't actually hit the champions. I don't know what benefit it would be to actually enhance that relic. I guess on her A1 she does hit, but I don't know that it's really going to do anything. So I thought maybe we'd throw that on there and see if it in some way affects healing or anything like that as well. But that's kind of the game plan for the day. So let's jump into it and see what we can find out. Not that it really matters because we're going to be using the same exact gear set both times, but I just wanted to give you a quick stats on what's going on. We got her in a vigor set with accuracy here. I did recently move her into a Pierce Banner, which just allows her to do a little more damage, and as fast as she's going and often she's smacking with the A2, it is actually a pretty good benefit to have a little more damage coming out of her there. But that's what we got going on for the stats. So just so you know what's going on with my Morgan, we do have her at 334 speed. I think I could technically speed her up a little bit, but I'd have to, I think, take her out of the vigor set and put her into speed, which may not be the worst thing because most of the time I'm running her with Nika, and then Nika with that Spirit Parade's getting the extra vigor anyway. But I haven't done it yet because sometimes I don't run her with Nika, and then having that so she can spam her A2 is pretty important. But let's jump over into Terrasco. The Stormcat, he is going to be the Storm Affinity, which is negative to Flame, and we're just going to go ahead, take everybody out of the team except for Morgan, and we're going to go smack him and see how it goes. So we're going to go ahead and take it off auto. We're going to drop it to 1x speed, so it's practically slow-mo. We're going to start with the A1 and work our way up, and then we're going to make sure that each hit we do does not have any debuffs up, just to make sure that everything we're doing is correct. I'm going to go ahead and hit him 3 times with each skill and then average the damage that she does on each one, just so we have a better idea of how it's going. So we're at 1524 on that first hit. It's almost comical watching this happen. Everything seems so slow-mo. 1333 on that one. Like, look at Terrasco over here. He's like barely moving, so this is kind of hilarious. But I'm just going to exit out each time, come back in, and then kind of get a feel for what we're doing on damage. So we're going to jump over to the A2 here and see how the A2 does on that damage end. Super slow-mo, 6229. I had one job, and I don't know that I did. I know it's 62, and I don't think the 29 matters that much. When I'm editing the video, I'll find out for sure, but I think it was 6229. So let's go ahead, we'll run it back a few more times and get an average for A2. All right, so having done that, we got an average of 1460 on our A1, 7000 on the A2, and 5890 on the A3. One thing to keep in mind is that A2 is an AoE ability, so that is also doing damage on each of the legs as well as the main boss, so your A3 is going to do more single target damage because it's just hitting one of the 3, so it is going to be a little more powerful, but we are getting more damage out of the A2 just because there's extra people, extra arms. So we're going to go on in there, we're going to upgrade the 2 relics we have. Hopefully we have gold. Yeah, I actually spent some time in Terrasco. I spent some time in Gorgo, so I got some gold on the account. So we're going to enhance both of these. That's 2%, this is 4%. And we're going to go back in and test that again. Another thing I was thinking about, this completely off topic, but I've just been noodling on it for a while just because of how much I hate this character. I think it'd be kind of interesting if they introduce skins into the game. And whether you can earn them, buy them, whatever. I hate her skin enough that potentially I'd buy a skin just to replace her with something that's more appropriate to the game. But I'd say this would be a great place to start as putting new skins in the game, where you could actually kind of as a trophy or some sort of, like, you know, I've been playing this long or whatever the case is, I've accomplished this achievement. I think could be a really cool win for the game, and seeing how they kind of misstepped with her design to begin with, it might be a great way to kind of make it right. Just a thought, just out there on left field. But let's jump back over here into stage 10, and we're going to go ahead and get going with 3 hits on each one again and just see how it goes. Slow-mo is hilarious. 1570. All right, the results are in. So on the A1, we went from an average of 1460 to 1504. That's a 3% increase. That's 103% of what we're at over here. On the A2, it's 3 hits. We went up 34%, so I'm assuming on maybe one of these guys we got a weak hit or something. But yeah, I mean, we did step up quite a bit on the A2. That being said, you're also getting 3 enemies getting hit with an additional 3%, so that'd be 9% per hit. 27% is what should math in that space, so we're not that far off of that. So my guess is on one of these we just didn't get a crit maybe. So that could be a little bit of RNG going on there. And then on the A3 we stepped up 17%, going in that direction with a little bit stronger hit there from 58.90 to 69.42. Very consistent right there. All 3 of them, I think it's 2 hits, and I probably crit on both of them and turned in that 69.42. So I would say all in all, the increase in damage is definitely there. And probably makes sense with a 4% increase that we're seeing. It's probably right about there. Just a little bit of RNG is what we're seeing that's coming off. So we're going to get that extra damage right out of there. So having gone through it, I think we're just a little RNG away from that 4%, which I think is pretty standard. So essentially you're just going to get that much extra damage on the attack. So if you were able to get that all the way up to 20%, you're going to get quite a bit extra damage, especially for a damage dealer like Caliburn Arthur or Hild or even Anya with the counter strike. All that's going to be a pretty big benefit. That being said, for the champions like Nika, like, it does specify elemental damage. Now, I did think that there was other elemental benefits, like hit rate or hit accuracy was increased, and a crit strike was increased, and I thought there were other things that came along with extra damage for your affinity matchups, but I can't find it anywhere. I've been poking around online, I've been poking around in the game. I feel like I read it somewhere, but I can't remember what it was. But I think this is specifying elemental damage, so it's not going to, as far as I could tell, it's not going to do anything additional other than just more damage on the elemental front. But the tough thing is, and I probably should have tested this prior to putting it on her, but this extra percentage of damage that you're going to get out of this upgrade, I think is specifically going to be against storm enemies. So I don't think you're going to get extra 4% when she's attacking flame or an extra 4% on frost. It would be kind of cool if it kind of leveled out the disadvantage she has towards frost champions as well, or something along those lines. But the way that it's reading right here, I'm pretty confident all it's going to do is give you extra damage when you're attacking storm enemies, which all in all is not a bad thing. I think that it is probably pretty effective. The fact they doubled it, I think, is helpful, just because of the contingencies that exist there. So I did jump over into the index here, and I was just looking through all the relics that I don't have. I am missing exactly 20 relics. Working on these 2 here with Caliburn Arthur. You can't pull those, but you can earn them, which I think is actually kind of cool. I think they should do that a little more with some of these other champions as they introduce these other relics. Kind of put them as a carrot to a reward of finishing a thing, something along those lines. I do think that these are coming in a little bit slow, if I'm being, a little bit critical, just because most people are not going to be able to get one of these every week. And then it alternates between the 2 of them. So you could be waiting, a third to half of a year to actually earn these, unless you happen to get first, second, or third place, or in the top 10. I think you can earn 2 if you get in the top 10, but it's pretty hard to do. That being said, I might actually make that happen. This is the first time I've ever even been close, which is kind of interesting. I might just be in a bracket that's a little easier for me, maybe. Maybe I got lucky in that space. But I will be keeping an eye out for these relics, just getting them on the account. But I think I am going to probably start leveling up relics as they come in. There's no relic that I'm aware of that I'm like Florentius here. You can't pull. I have to buy that out of the arena shop or wherever that's at. So there's 3 of the 20 relics that I basically will have to earn and not be able to pull. So it's not something that's going to go into the shard shop. As far as I look around and look at I think both of Brennan's relics are pretty solid, but I don't know that I need either one of them. Whereas like Lancelot's Frost Relic was a really big deal. I really wanted that on the account. I got it. I'm super excited about having it. But the other ones, I think as they come, will be fine. So I don't think I need to save those relics to sell just in case something comes into the shard shop. But that being said, I'm going to try to get all 20 of these guys on the account in a reasonable amount of time and start upgrading the ones where I can. But hopefully you found that interesting. It's something I've been toying with in my head, like whether or not it's worth it or not for a little while. So I just wanted to see like if there's actually a benefit. Kind of revisiting the idea of Nika, like I don't know what the benefit really would be here. I'm spamming her A3 almost exclusively. So she's not going to be doing any damage at all with her A3. On her Flame Relic, she at least hits with her A3, so that could be a benefit. But I don't think there's going to be any perk at all for me upgrading the Frost Relic. So this might be one I hold on to just in case I want to sell it to get a relic that I don't have. But that's kind of a pretty niche and specific situation where it may not provide the benefit that we're looking for. For most other people, having an extra 20% on affinity matchup could be a really big benefit. I'd love to start getting some of these guys because Caliburn Arthur is my major damage dealer. So getting him to smack against negative affinity, even an extra 20% damage is probably going to be pretty significant for him. Also, Hild, I think, would be another one that would be really good in that space. Pretty much any damage dealer, to be honest with you. But hopefully you found that as interesting as I did. It's kind of just something I've been playing with. So I was like, I need to figure out whether or not it's worth it to do it or not. Figured I'd share with you guys. But I appreciate you guys hanging out with me all the way to the end. Probably a pretty short video. We're doing pretty good keeping these under 20 minutes. So again, I appreciate you guys and I look forward to seeing you next time.